You reckon we oughter?
Ooh, otter. Hey, we're live. Hello, internets. How are you?
Every single one of you internets.
May 6th. Roger, Roger. Roger, Roger.
Such a
Oh,
droid.
wait. It's copyright, isn't it?
Yeah. If Disney is somehow involved, I'm sure it's copyright.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I think we ought to do?
What?
Let's start a podcast.
What a fantastic idea.
We'll start doing it every week. It'll be a brand new thing. What did Broncos or no Wino Seattle say? We need to start a liquor-based podcast.
Yes, a spin-off of this show.
Yes.
I volunteered to do brewery tours.
Did you leave anything out here?
Of what?
The show notes?
Maybe.
Just maybe the endless row of question marks.
That's what I'm putting in to fill in.
Oh.
So you can cold read, but no improv?
Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently.
All right. So how we doing, guys? We ready to go?
Just about.
Not allowed to.
Question marks.
Not allowed to do something funny. It's got to be really funny now because it. I don't know.
I don't know. You guys work it over. Let's start a show.
All right. Sounds good.
That's true in Cuba, isn't it?
Yes.
It is true in Cuba.
Yeah. See, I listened.
All right. And everybody who is listening to us has absolutely no idea what we're talking about because I'm reading and watching what people are typing in the show notes.
And I have no idea what you're talking about most of the time. So we're all good.
Okay. We really need to start a podcast.
All right.
Well, I'm not in charge here, so I'm just along for the ride.
Wits End. Well, it's Thursday night and you found us. Welcome to Caching in the Northwest. Did you know this is the only podcast dedicated to geocaching in the great Pacific Northwest, where we'll talk about caches and cachers unique to this little corner of the country. So while you're looking for your Nexus card, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
That's right. And it's time, of course, to bring in our country hopping chimp. Some say the border agents are apprised daily of his geocaching activity. And others say he's not allowed to bring his GPSR. And all we know is he's called Land Monkey.
Yes, he is. Hey, folks. Welcome to another episode of Caching in the Northwest. We are so delighted to have you joining us, whether you're live, watching us live and participating in the chat room, as many people are. And boy, are we ever enjoying the ongoing fun chat that goes on in there. We sometimes find that a little distracting, so we have to learn to focus a little better. But we appreciate you.
Focus
we also
is optional.
Sorry?
Focus is optional.
Squirrel. We also really appreciate those who are listening to this podcast downloaded, or maybe you're even watching it after the fact on YouTube, because that's just how you roll. All right. Well, regardless of how you roll, we also want to thank our newest patron, which is Broncos Fan for Life. Right on. Thank you very much for the support, Broncos Fan for Life. We also want to thank our golf clap there. Very nice. We also want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters, the Mount Vernon Parks and Rec Department and worldcaching.com. And folks, if you want to know more about supporting the show, just feel free to head on over to cachingnw.com website and click on that Patreon link. And, you'll learn all about the support. And while I'm in the thanking mood, and being Canadian, it's all about thanks and sorries. Thank you to those who sent in glows this week. And remember that we still do continue to need your glow logs. So if you enjoy this segment of the show, the geocaching log of the week, remember that we need to get those glow-worthy logs from you.
And it's best if you write them, because we want to advance the art of writing a good log in all the world of geocaching. But you know what? That doesn't always happen. Sometimes you read a really good log. So whether you wrote it or not, we want to hear about it. Send an email to feedback@cachingNW.com. You can call into 253-693-TFTC, or you can use the voicemail tool on the website, and it works. It was tested this week.
Ooh,
And show us how you glow.
that's right. No nuclear reactions necessary. Send us your glows. The glow this week is a log came in from Jaxo Lantern, and it's the cache he did for his 1500th find for Peep My Peephole, which is a gadget cache at GC6W VA4, not an innuendo that sent Land Monkey off his stool.
I was going to say, do I have to change the rating on the show now?
Not at all. Go
Okay.
check out
No, just inside my head.
GC6W VA4. It's called Peep My Peephole. Title of the show, Peep My Peephole. We're done with that. The log reads.
I'm still changing the name of this show now. Anyway, go
Okay.
ahead.
Maybe I'll just change my caching name. The log reads, I'm not a fan of winter, so I'd laid low and not done much caching besides to fill the days I need in my daily finds grid for a while now. Suddenly on Thursday, I realized I was at 1971. I think that's a cache count, not a year. And since I was attending Winterfest on Sunday, there were lots of worthy milestone caches in the area, if not the event itself. I spent Saturday power caching, and after a full day of trail walking to some caches worthy of a milestone themselves and the event, I found myself sitting precariously at $14.99.
How did they lose 500 caches?
Well, you can go delete logs.
Okay.
Hey, I'm just
Armchair
reading what
caching.
the notes say here, but I have a hunch it may have been 1471.
There may be a typo.
Yes, which also is not a year in this context, because I'm pretty sure
1490.
nobody found any geocaches in the year 1471.
With
But
their
if you
sextant, they did.
If you found a cache in 1471, write about it and send it in.
We do want to hear about it.
Absolutely. The log continues. Shermanator 18 and McDougan's had been wanting to check up on this one as well. So together with, is that Spadenia
Sure it is.
and our
Spadenia.
Geopups, what's that?
Spaden, yeah.
Spadenia. We proceeded to make our
That's
way
what you
here
do
in the
with
hopes that
Geopups.
in the hopes that this would be a worthy milestone that we could actually get open, and then we could get it done before nightfall. Once we reached ground zero, everyone gathered round and started to work. Shermanator and I dissected the cache mentally and tried to compare it with others we'd seen on our internet travels. This one reminded us of 3. We messed with it, but once we got so far, we figured there must be another way. Full credit to my son, Spadenia, figuring out the trick in about 15 minutes in. We were all elated as darkness was falling fast and the weather was getting bitter. We took my picture, signed the log, dropped a bunch of trackables, and we were on our way again. I won't say much else for sake of spoiling it, but in the end, it was just like all 3 of those caches combined, and truly worthy of a favorite point. Thanks so much for the time and effort. Things like this may be mind-numbing, but they sure do add a fun twist to finding your typical Tupperware in the woods.
Nice log.
Absolutely.
As a cache owner who would have put the effort into putting a gadget cache out like that, it's always nice to have the appreciation of somebody putting the time in to write a good log like that. So excellent example of a glow-worthy log.
Love it. And if you've submitted a glow to this here podcast, we want to reward you. So if you have done it and you haven't yet received an email, send us an email at feedback@cashingnw.com, and we will send you an email. You know how all these emails work, with a little bit of HTML code in it to put in your geocaching profile so you can have a glow badge of your very own.
That's a lot of emails back and forth. So it's send an email to feedback@cashingnw.com and you'll get your HTML.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But I like email. So send an email, you'll get an email, and there will be emails.
Okay.
Excellent. Yes, there will. Hey, well, while you're getting online and sending lots of emails to feedback@cachingandw.com, and perhaps you're even going to cachingandw.com and clicking on the little button to send us audio, any and all of those things. So at that point in time, while you're online, remember to complete your Ape Cache survey. Have you guys done yours yet?
I have.
I did mine.
All right. So have your say on the future of the Tunnel of Light geocache that has been recovered by a number of the people in our chat room this evening. Thank you very much for that effort, you guys. We all appreciate it.
This is the only podcast with actual members who recovered the ape cache.
Yet another reason that this is the best geocaching podcast, possibly world champion geocaching podcast.
You never know.
You never know. I mean, if there's a shirt that says it, then it is.
If it's on a shirt, it's got to be true.
One would think.
Anyways, yeah. So we'll include the link in the show notes that you can go to if you haven't already gone to the geocaching.com blog, where they have probably the most recent article there. But anyways, has a link to the survey. And geocaching.com has personally committed to us that they will follow through on whichever of the 4 options most cachers want to see happen with that geocache. And remind me, what are the 4 options?
One of them's renew it once a year, reactivate it once a year. Another one's make it a traveling exhibit. And there are 2 others.
And then one is a permanent exhibit at geocaching.com.
Right.
There you go.
And the third is just put it back out like it was before. Or the 4th is put it back out.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, one of those 4. And you know what? Whichever one you feel is right, we won't judge you as long as it's one of the ones where we can log it.
Exactly. We won't judge you if you voted the same way we did.
That's right. Good time.
The 5th option is to host it at Caching in the Northwest HQ. And you'll have to come visit the studios to know. That's not one of the options.
Which of the 3 studios? It'll move between the 3 studios.
There you go.
Exactly.
That should have been the 5th option. I like that.
All we have to do is drop that sucker in the mail and, it'll get, yeah, right. Okay. It needs its own Sherpa to carry it around.
Yeah.
Oh, the chat is so active tonight. We thank you all.
Mm-hmm.
And Sprouter has noticed that I've moved into a van down by the river. That's right. This is what has happened.
I'm jealous of the van down by the river. It's a nice van down by the river.
Yeah, why not? I'm actually out traveling this week. Don't worry, somebody's home. Don't go rob my house. I have 18 vicious pit bulls wandering throughout the house, so don't go there.
Well, you normally do.
No, normally I only have 16.
Oh, okay. Imported an extra couple.
Yeah, exactly. Just for home defense. Why I was gone. No, I'm out with my parents. My wife and kids are holding the fort at home.
Awesome.
So, love the chat. I mean, the chat is so active tonight. It's almost distracting.
It is distracting. Yeah, gotta.
Okay, it is very.
So, guys, if we miss comments that you make, and it's something you want to make sure we pick up on, make sure that you hashtag FATAS them. So that means put a hashtag FTAS in your comment, ideally at the front of it. And then that way, when we go back through the show, or not the show notes, back through the chat at the end of the podcast tonight in the after show, we'll make sure that we catch it.
Absolutely.
All right. Where were we? What are we
I don't
talking?
Who knows?
Oh,
you know
by
what?
the river. Got it.
Van by the river. There we are.
Okay. Hey, while we're talking about things that we want people to know about and important things to us and to our sponsors, we want to remind you that February is a trackable contest going on this month.
Woo.
Yeah. And because it's the month of February, which is the month of family and love, we want to encourage you to compose an email to feedback@cachingandw.com with the subject, "Why I Love Geocaching." Now, in the body of that email, because we know Chris loves email, put your geocaching name and tell us what you love most about geocaching. You can be as verbose or succinct as you please. But again, subject line, "Why I Love Geocaching," include your geocaching name, and send it to feedback@cachingandw.com. All entries must be in by midnight, February 28th to be eligible. Thank you, worldcaching.com.
That's right. There's no real wrong answers there. It's just whatever you love about geocaching. One of the things I love about geocaching, well, it's feedback to the cachingandw.com podcast. You can do that by email. You could do it by the phone. You could do it by a really cool voicemail tool on the website. And we know it works because this came in.
Cool kids use.
That's right. This came in from that very tool.
Thanks for a great show. Just finished listening to 185. This is more for Land Monkey than anybody. I'm in Alberta, out geocaching in just regular shoes. It's plus 14. I'm loving it. I feel sorry for you with all your snow. No, I don't. Thanks a lot. This is Billy Robson from Vermilion, Alberta, Canada. Keep the shows coming.
Oh, that is awesome. Thank you so much, Billy Robson. We really appreciate that feedback. And, you know, I can accept the dig about the snow in BC while you are out enjoying the plus 14 in Alberta, because I know this is an anomaly and you guys get the dull end of the stick most of the time. So fair is fair. But thank you so much for sending the feedback. That was fun. The blunt end of the stick.
Okay.
The pointy end of the stick is where you put the marshmallow.
That's right.
Oh,
Or the hot dog.
That's the business end of the stick.
Oh, in other news, Muncie announced just today Z-Ops.
Z what?
See what?
Z-Ops. Or Z-Ops for Canada there. Now, we don't know a lot about it at this point, but did you know Rob from Muncie is going to be on our show next week to tell us more?
What?
Yeah, I
Rob
know.
who?
Do you believe that we plan shows in the future?
I actually don't, but okay.
That's like next month.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not this month. We're
Yeah.
moving it to next
Okay.
month.
Okay.
We're good then.
What it is, it's missions designed around Muncie. Here's what we know. Every month, new operations will be released by the mysterious Director Z himself. All of the missions and operations will include confidential information regarding the theme of the month and complete missions and operations. You got to complete missions and operations to learn the whole story. You can learn more by heading on over to zops.muncie.com.
That's right. And it is Z-Ops because it's spelled out Zulu Echo
Z-E.
Echo, not
Yeah.
Z. And because, well, he's in Texas and I don't think they say Z down there.
No, it just confuses things for us up here, but whatever. We'll sort it out when Rob's on the show next month.
There you go. Yeah. Next week, next month, whatever it takes. Hey,
Awesome.
you know, we love giveaways. We talked about the February trackable giveaway. And you know what else we're giving away?
No.
Caching in the Northwest is giving away a copy of Gary Slinker. That's G-Slink to many people. He wrote a book and he came on the podcast and talked about it. It's called Hide and Seek, Life Lessons of a Geocacher. We've read it. It's good. You should check it out. And you don't even have to buy one. All you have to do is win this really cool contest here. All you need to
Gary
do.
would appreciate it if you would buy one.
Well, yeah.
Boy, Gary would appreciate it, but you don't need to. You could wait to see if you win and then go buy 2 copies if you didn't.
You know, you could even like just buy 2 copies first. And if you win one, then give it to somebody else.
There you go.
Yeah. You know how you do that? How you
No.
win the contest? Well, how you enter the contest?
How?
You win the contest by giving us, well, the winning entry.
Because we accept bribes.
No, I don't.
You enter the contest
Yes.
by telling us in 5 words or less what geocaching has taught you. Here are some examples that came in this week. 5 words or less. Trust the trail. Getting away from it all. I hate geocaching police. That was in all caps.
I was going to say, and
loudly.
I also hate my caps lock key.
Yeah. My wife loves to geocache and finding new places to go.
Nice. I like that last one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I use rest stops for. But
New places. Ooh.
yeah.
There's
Why don't you
There's
use the
trust
place
the
everybody
trail.
else uses at the rest stop? And okay.
When I read Trust the Trail, I thought, never trust the arrow.
Ah.
Anyway, go ahead.
So text your geocaching name, your handle, if you prefer, and those 5 words or less describing geocaching to, wait for it, 253-693-TFTC. For the phone spell alphabetically challenge, that's 253-693-8382. And, we'll probably mention that phone number again, at some point during the episode. Earlier, later, multiple times, it's there.
Right in the middle of the main point when nobody's listening.
Yeah.
But somebody's listening?
Yeah, we might interrupt another host and just rattle it off. 253-693-TFTC.
So while we're talking about such things, 253-693-TFTC, when does this contest expire? What's the last point in time somebody can submit an entry to 253-693-TFTC?
That's 253-693-8382. And that would be February 28th at midnight.
That's before the next podcast episode.
Right. Not much, but barely.
So there's just a little bit of time left.
This is going to get you a physical book that you can hold in your hands and read. That Gary Slinker wrote with his very own brain. And fingers. Listeners?
Psychically wrote it.
Close your eyes and imagine yourself traveling to a faraway land. A place. It's a magical place with all of the geocache types awaiting for you to discover them. A place where you can travel for an overnight stay, whether you have a van or not. And while there, why not have an event to meet local geocachers? Okay, if you're driving, open your eyes now.
Whew. Yes. Never a good idea to close your eyes while driving. Well, there could be nuns ahead. But, that's a really great idea, Mr. Christopher of the Northwest, sir. But however, I don't even know how you get started in such an enterprise. How would you do that? Elaborate, please.
Well, hey, why don't I jump in while Chris grabs something to drink there?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Needed a break there. 253-693-TFTC. So, hey, some of the things that you might want to consider would be of course, starting with the day that you want to hold the event. So, on this magical geocaching trip you're taking, about when you're going to be at whatever destination this is. So, what day it is. But now start to consider what time of day would be best to hold the event. Is it, while it's a vacation for you, is it a work day for the people wherever you're traveling? Is it a statutory holiday? Is it a weekend? So, that should influence the time of day you want to hold the event. So, on a weekend, often a breakfast event works really well. Because, the morning hour, it's before everybody heads out on their geocaching day. So that works well. Or an evening event. So it's at the end of the geocaching day. And
the hashtag geocaching day.
The hashtag geocache road trip.
There you go.
Hashtag geocaching day. Yeah, I love it. So yeah, there's a couple of considerations.
Timing is always important. And sometimes the event dictates that. We did a leap day event on 229 at 229. Let's see, I think there it is. Yeah. The log sheet is right here. And I know people did breakfast events that morning and stuff, but that was a work day and that was a little awkward, and I still had an incredible showing. But as you mentioned, timing, time of day, that's really important. The other thing that's important is locations.
Location.
Ooh, there's an echo. As for locations, why not check out a Facebook group for the local geocaching community where you're going to be traveling? See if maybe somebody there could recommend a good spot. If you're planning, for example, to travel to the Metro Vancouver area in British Columbia, and really, who wouldn't? Try the Metro Vancouver Geocachers Facebook page or their Twitter account. They're a very active group.
We'll include those links in the show notes so you can jump right on and find them.
Yeah, Twitter's an easy one. Facebook's a long one, but
MV geocaching.
Twitter.com/MV geocaching.
There you go.
Or just call Land Monkey.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is the
Yeah.
number of messages that I do actually get on the geocaching.com instant message of people from all over the world, often Europe. So I shouldn't say all over the world. I haven't gotten any from Asia, or Australia, but people from Europe who are planning to travel to Western Canada and send me a message saying, "Hey, any tips on geocaching and where to host an event and stuff like that?" So it happens.
In the chat, we have Die Monkey and IHAM. He said they both hosted 2 out-of-state events. One was great, and the other one was a dud. Only one other couple showed up. So,
Were they first to find?
Oh, does that count?
Be interesting to know what the difference between those 2 events was.
Yeah, or just check with Land Monkey. He knows.
Yeah.
B Pendragon says, I like coffee shop meetups. I also like coffee. But you got to be careful. I mean, some coffee shops, as we're going down the road, we thought, well, let's stop and get some coffee. There was no place to park. It didn't work it would not have worked as an event venue. It didn't work as a coffee stop. So there's some things you have to consider. So you've picked the day, the correct time of day, and now you have an idea for a location. What else do you need?
Well, as you're, living in your van down by the river there and driving it down the highway, you have a location. Doesn't matter if the coffee shop has room or not. You have a house right there with you. Roll out the awning and have the event right there in the parking lot. But not all of us have that option. So you can certainly start by getting your event cache page together and submitted. Wait for it. 2 or more. This is not like the contest. It's 5 or less. This is 2 or more weeks in advance so the reviewers can approve it. The reviewers will appreciate you not pushing the deadline.
Yeah.
Give them a little extra time, will you? Because remember, they're volunteers. The bare minimum is that 2 weeks, but if there's any problems, any back and forth with the reviewers, and how those reviewers can be.
Reviewers are the worst.
They're awesome.
And the best.
That's right. You might need some more time. 2 weeks might not be enough. You might need to go 14.2 days. And but seriously, really look, 3 or 4 weeks, the farther ahead you plan, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you can only go like 3 or 4 months in advance, but I mean, that's a little crazy. I don't think anybody, unless you're planning like a big event.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what I'm eating for lunch tomorrow. So come on.
But we're talking about the bare minimum, and it makes me think about Skookum bare minimum. But definitely more than 2 weeks if you can. Of course, there's a reason that the minimum is 2 weeks, because less than 2 weeks, the event won't get published, because 2 weeks is the required minimum amount of time for a reviewer. Or I'm going to phrase this wrong. It's not the required amount of time for the reviewer to approve it. It doesn't take them 2 weeks necessarily, but it's an event has to be submitted at least 2 weeks before the event date, or it won't be considered, I believe.
I have seen several events in the area, usually up towards headquarters. Hey, we're coming into town. Come and meet us for lunch. Come and meet us for dinner, or ice cream or yogurt or whatever. And those are usually pretty well attended by the locals. There's the chat this evening is fabulous. Bryling says reviewers may be listening. And hashtag no event for you. So I don't know if evening events are better than morning events. It depends on the location, depends on the time of day. You've got to worry about traffic. But, I know our friend Land Monkey did something else, which was to collaborate with local geocachers to make sure there was local representation at the event.
Very good.
So perhaps, there's other geocaching organizations, which you've heard on this very podcast, because we make an effort to promote those local geocaching associations.
We do. And hey, I will throw in there, if you are a member or affiliate with a local geocaching organization and you'd like us to share a little bit about your geocaching association, why don't you go to that voicemail tool on our website or call the number that you heard before and tell us a little bit about your geocaching association, and we'll play that on an upcoming episode. I guarantee it. As long as,
Guarantee.
as long as it's within our guidelines.
Our purview.
But yeah, we did do that, Chris, and we collaborated with our friends here on the podcast, Wits End and Chris of the Northwest, to choose a appropriate location and time. We ended up having a breakfast event at a kind of a neat place. Was it Sherry's? No,
Elmer's,
Elmer's.
Yeah.
home of the German pancake.
Ah.
German pancake. And they actually, again, really good to talk to locals down in the area, the guys who live in Tacoma, because that restaurant happens to actually have a meeting room in the back that we were able to get thanks to, collaborating with the folks who live there. So there's no way we would have known how to find a place that is perfect for a breakfast geocaching event like we ended up doing. So that was awesome. And we got similar feedback on Twitter. Land Sharks, they tweeted and said, connect with a local cacher to co-host in case your itinerary changes for any reason. That's also good advice,
Oh, yeah.
because
That could
you
happen.
might have thought you would be there at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Flights
That's
get
really true.
canceled. Wreck on the Coquihalla Highway. You just never know. So
yeah, that
those
happens.
local contacts. And, social media is a great way to keep in touch with people that are planning those and helping you host them locally. And it's also a great way to communicate with, geocachers in general. We heard feedback from social media from Keats94 this week. I think it was this week.
It was this weekend.
Okay.
It was
And
today.
he asked via Land Monkey's Facebook page, another one of those social media channels we discussed, it's he, right?
Yes.
He said, I'm curious if event caches are allowed on the lawn of Land Monkey's house. No, of the Parliament buildings in Ottawa. I'm going there in June and I'm thinking of hosting one there. Any insight from the listening audience?
That is interesting because I know there is a webcam cache there.
Ooh.
At the Eternal Flame. So I don't know if there would be any rules against. I mean, people are always grouping there and such. So I don't know why there would be a reason not to. But I guess the best advice I would have is to try and contact the reviewers out that way, or one of the reviewers out that way, and see if you can get any feedback on that. If there happens to be a rule about not doing that I just wouldn't have guessed at.
Bryling adds in the chat, he says, I tried to make an event on Block Party weekend at 4 p.m. near Geocaching HQ. I got there after 5 p.m. thanks to traffic. Delays happen.
They do.
Yeah.
Plan for or with a co-host.
Yes,
That's brilliant.
that is. Absolutely.
Also, we got feedback from Subway Mark, who was on our show not too long ago, by the way.
Friend of the show. Good.
If you didn't hear it, go back to the last episode of 2016. Subway Mark shares his experience in hosting events on the road. I hosted an event in Guatemala. No, that's on the road. Actually, it's on the water.
Yeah.
At the cruise ship port, he says. Did meet other geocacher cruisers that way and got the country there, as there were no nearby geocaches at the port or at the Mayan ruins we went to.
Apparently the
I
Mayans
also-
weren't geocachers.
Well, they could have geocached in 1491.
You never know. It could have happened.
What was there latitude in 1491? Was latitude invented yet?
I think
Or
people were
longitude.
given a lot of latitude.
Yeah, I
unfortunately.
think so.
Subway Mark goes on to say, I've also attended events in Edinburgh and England and attended events hosted by people from outside the U.S. while they were visiting Seattle and Salem. And caching in the Northwest, geocaching road trip.
Ah.
So there you go. I mean, hosting one. Now, you can't host an event on the cruise ship. You have to be at a location.
Right. And when I think we've done random head movements. We have done a podcast about cruising and caching, as have a few of the other geocaching podcasts. Mrs. Land Monkey and I were on Geo Gearheads. I know the Land Sharks were recently on G-Slink's podcast talking about that concept as well. And one of the other considerations, if you're doing that, so for example, one of the cachers on our Alaskan cruise hosted an event at one of the ports of call. It can be a little trickier with the timing. So again, that rule of collaborating with locals is super important, but it can be fun with meeting all the folks there. But what I was going to say, one of the things you need to be aware of is that there's certain zones around the cruise ship terminal where there may be a certain level of security. So you have to know that in advance, which again, all the more reason to try and work with the locals, etc., so that you don't place the event inside a security zone.
Good thinking.
Yeah, and timing is everything, as Dora Moore mentioned in the chat room there. She said that she worked with a cacher from England on an event there, and just before it hit the publish button, another event was published for the same spot a week before ours. Timing is everything.
Huh. So, but if it's a week before, can you not still have the two events in the same spot? Or
I would think you could, but
that would be a question for a reviewer.
yeah,
If only we knew one.
yeah.
only if Skookum Bear were here.
Yeah.
We missed
Subway
Scoop.
Mark, who we just read his very informative feedback, is also listening tonight and says, we held an event on the side steps of the Oregon Capitol building. Okay, so this goes to the Ottawa Parliament.
Right.
We wanted to be on the front steps, but another group was demonstrating there, so we moved. But the Capitol Police were okay with it.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
there you go. I mean, it's now I don't know Canadian laws as well as I probably should, but in the US, as long as you have a peaceful assembly, you're fine. You know, as long as you're not on private property, that would be public property. You could have a peaceful assembly.
There was a lot of feedback in the chat room around Keats's question as well. And I think the general consensus was because there's often protests and just tourists gathering in groups on the lawns of Parliament. And Parliament in Ottawa is our federal capital, as opposed to a provincial capital, which would be the equivalent of the what Subway Mark was talking about with the Portland, or not Portland, the Oregon, Salem, Oregon. Yeah. But yeah, I would say try and reach out to a local cacher or reviewer in the area, see what feedback you get. And they're probably not going to have any issues with it, but the other option is just try it. Try and publish it and see what happens.
Yeah, and Doramore said they went with Plan B. They had a pub event, which, usually it's more fun to hang out at a pub than some government building anyway.
Isn't that Plan PUB?
Yeah.
There you
go. Brylang says you can have the event at the same spot. This is the, week apart.
Doramore's question, right?
But people might attend the event, may have attended the previous.
So they won't want to come to the same location 2 weeks in a row.
Right. And they may be confused as to, wait, didn't I just go there?
Yeah.
So I understand that.
Yeah. Keats in the chat room gives us some real-time feedback there and says, good to know. Thanks. The Parliament is the people's house, after all.
That's what they want you to believe.
The Volkshaus.
It's still how it works here in Canada.
Yeah.
We got great feedback from Tick Magnet via email. He says, I like meeting other geocachers and search for events along my caching route, but hosting an event is outside my area is a new idea to me, and I like it. How do you pick a location that's not a dump and has a needed room? Thanks. So, I think
Not a dump. Wow, setting the bar really high there.
Well, I mean, you pick a spot and you go, well, that looks like a good spot.
Yeah,
But
no, I
go
get
there
that.
and you go, no, that's
You wouldn't know if it's a shady part of town or I get that. I totally get why Tick Magnet's asking the
It
question.
looks decent, but it's just a piece of plywood hanging in the garage. You never know.
It looked good on Google Maps.
Yeah.
So great question. I would definitely say, what we talked about off the start of the topic around, and what we were talking about just with Keats's question again, contact the local geocaching community. It can be as simple as some little tricks that I've used before. Look at some geocaches in the area, and then start looking at the logs and see if there's somebody
Anything
who has logged a lot of those same local geocaches. Then you go, okay, that's a local cacher probably. And you can also usually on people's geocaching profiles, they'll give some sort of indication of the general area they live in. So, I mean, you can do a little bit of sneaky stalking type research that way to find somebody and then send them a message on geocaching and say, hey, I want to try this area. But
instead of stalking them, Land Monkey,
yeah,
which, I have to say, Caching in the Northwest does not promote the stalking of other geocachers.
but we're good at it.
Oh, we're excellent at it, but we don't promote it. What I would do is look for events that have already finished and, start reading the logs there. If they go, oh, this was an excellent location, you've probably got something good there.
Yeah, but how do you find events after they're archived?
Well, after they're archived, they're often still around, even, for a month or more, 2 months or more.
Yeah.
And then, you can contact the host of that and say, hey, was it a good event? Would you go there again?
Yep. I can see that could work.
You could do it at the same spot 2 weeks in a row.
You could. I still like the idea of contacting the local geocaching.
Stalking them.
Yeah, the local. I like that idea, but I like the idea of contacting the local geocaching organization or community because a lot of them have pretty active Facebook groups. I know, a lot of the major cities in BC have Facebook pages for their geocaching communities where you can find, just post the question, say, hey, I'm visiting in this date range. I'd like to hold an event. Can you recommend a location or set of coordinates, and see what you get back? Usually people won't be cruel and do something really mean, like give you coordinates out in the ocean or something.
Well, I'm going there anyway.
Kayak. Ooh, a kayak meet and greet. That's a cool idea.
Hey, there you go.
That's a true Terrain 5 event.
Huh. I'm going to look into that idea. I like that idea.
You heard it here first on Caching in the Northwest.
There you go.
Wino Seattle says, Wino's pet peeve, out-of-towners and tourists posting an event within a quarter mile of Groundspeak HQ on a weekday during rush hour. Hashtag crazy stupid.
But again, that's the thing, right? If you don't know the area and you go, oh, it's Geocaching HQ, what a great place. That's where everybody goes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I totally agree with Wino.
I have seen 5 o'clock events at, at a pub near HQ, and I'm like, yeah, right.
You'll get a few people from HQ, and maybe that's their goal.
Right.
Oh, and kayak events have been done every June in Kelowna.
There you go. Well, it's about time they were done down in the Lower Mainland.
Well, on the water near the mainland.
IT's been done. Capitalization, people.
It's hard to paddle a kayak on the mainland. You might want to hit it in the water near the mainland.
Fair enough.
It's a BYOK.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. BYOK. Hashtag
Bring your own keg.
BYOK. Oh, yeah. That
BY.
one.
Okay.
Okay. Just be okay.
Be okay. Be okay with it.
Yeah.
There's a sign in the Tri-Cities. It was a neon sign, and it said the letters BOK. That's all. There weren't any others burned out. That's all it said was BOK.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, I think we've exhausted most of this topic. We've got some great stuff for hashtag FATAS in a few moments. But before we get there, I think it's time for us to remind everybody that 3 weeks or more ago, we talked about Gary Slinkard's new book. And even more recently, during this very podcast, we talked about it. And reminder that, folks, you do have a chance to win one more copy of that book. Here's what you need to do. Boil down what geocaching has taught you in 5 words or less. Examples are... Okay, I'm reading this for the first time. This is funny.
Land Monkey didn't read ahead.
No, Land Monkey did not read ahead. So examples are: monkeys are drawn to earth caches. True. Ammo cans in the woods. Lamp post caches are da bomb. Okay, I think we just ended up on NSA's hit list. NorthWest cachers are the best. Well, that's true. I love NorthWest-based podcasts. I do. I really do.
You could tune in again next week.
That doesn't have a lot to do with what geocaching has taught you, but it's what geocaching podcasts have taught you. All right. Well, you get the idea.
Count words on my hands. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. Make sure you.
That's
count
why I
words
chose
on your
5.
hands.
By the way, I run out of fingers after.
Get the right number of fingers while you're holding a microphone. Perfect. All right. Well, folks, you get the idea. Text your geocaching name and your 5 words describing geocaching to 253-693 TFTC. That's 253-693-8382 before midnight, February 28th. Now, of course, asking you to text something, that does mean that message and data rates may apply. Do we have a workaround for those who may not want to do that?
We do. We have international listeners.
We do.
Because we have people that listen from all over the world. And Land Monkey is very generous to say, come on over to his house and he'll text for you.
That's right.
Or you can email those 5 words and your geocaching name to feedback@cachingnw.com, because sometimes it's expensive to text. And we know how US only contests anger the monkey. However, he's running a Canada only contest right now, and that angers me. So until next week, Land Monkey and your country-specific contests, where can we find you?
Well, the website is landmonkey.blogspot.ca. We try and keep articles coming up there regularly. There's been a little bit of a pause while I've been on some training with work the last week and a half, but we'll get back into the swing of things there. So again, landmonkey.blogspot.ca. Of course, you can always follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LandMonkeyGC. It's up here behind me at LandMonkeyGC. We'd love to have you follow us and share your thoughts and ideas with us at any point in time. On Facebook, you can find us at Team Land Monkey. And of course, on YouTube, check out our videos and our new product reviews just by searching Land Monkey on YouTube. How about you, Mr. Wits End?
Wits End is where you'll find me on most social media channels and other websites like geocaching.com, Twitter, Facebook, LO, you name it. Witsend.us is a blog I've nearly abandoned, and you could even call me at 347-WITSEND. How about that? Chris of the van down by the river, how about you?
You can find me down by the river, down by your local river soon. Or look for Caching NW. That's on Twitter, Facebook, Google+. You know what's better? Head on over to cachingnw.com/hosts and read our bios, because we are so interesting, and find all the links that we just mentioned.
You never know what you might find if you go over to cachingnw.com. There's always something new and interesting there.
That's right.
There's something interesting, all right.
All right. Well, folks, once again, we want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Remember, you can be a part of the show by calling, you know the number by now, 253-693-TFTC. Leave us a comment, ask a question, or log us into your event any time of the day or night. Of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Also, please remember your support helps to keep quality shows coming. And if you like this show, please click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website. This show is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2017 by Chris Umfenaar. And now, folks, stay tuned for
Oh, it's that after show thing that, we're doing
Oh,
this
we can't
portable
do it.
thing and I don't have it all hang on.
It's the after show, folks.
The after show. The after show, folks. Let's see.
Well, everybody who's here are the after show folks.
Oh, wait for it.
Stay
The
tuned.
after show.
Nice.
There you go.
It is now officially hashtag FATAS time.
That's
so
right.
I'm
With-
going to start going through the chat looking for
With Chris
hashtag.
down by the river,
and-
we had to punt with the sound effects. So
Oh, and Gary Slinker did hashtag FATAS with nothing.
he wants to talk about his book, maybe, or
Oh,
himself, or
Or
just
he
talk
just
about
wants
the
to-
after
you never
show.
know what you might find down by the river.
It's pretty late for Gary right now. Maybe he just wants us to keep him awake.
Gary, wake up. Gary.
Tap, tap,
He's
tap,
asleep.
poke, poke.
Poke him on Facebook. Can you still do
Pokemon
that on
Facebook?
Facebook?
And no Wet Coaster, I couldn't do it live because, well, I don't have that mixer plugged in anymore.
Right.
Bryling says, remember, an event is not to be held for the purpose of finding caches. So when we do our hike this summer to go to Monte Cristo, we will host a breakfast event.
Yeah.
That's just for eating breakfast
I'm a big
Not for
fan of
finding
eating
caches.
breakfast.
with the purpose of getting enough energy to go on a hike to find geocaches. But with the event is just to eat
I
breakfast.
sometimes eat breakfast more than once a day.
Do you
Yes.
really?
Second breakfast.
I like breakfast
Wow.
and second
11sies.
breakfast. 11sies are good too.
All right. So we've got in the chat room going way back here, almost to the halfway point of the
Yes.
chat.
The event happens before the hike.
IHAM says QTS equals I will send my call sign for blank blank seconds.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what Land Monkey means.
Probably
Hashtag
not.
QTS. And no, that's not. But interesting. I didn't realize that's what that meant.
There's a whole series of Q codes in amateur radio.
There you go. We got a hashtag FATAS. Hello there. Hello. Wino Seattle wants to know hashtag FATAS. What exit did you just pass by, Chris?
Yeah, he thought my video was a little jiggly, so he thought it's obviously I am on a bit of a wiggly table.
Yeah.
That obviously I'm going down the road. So
He just set cruise control and walked back to the back of the RV and posted a podcast.
What could go
Yeah.
wrong?
well, Google has automatic driving cars.
That's
Why
right.
can't caching in the Northwest?
Yeah. What could
How hard can it be?
There you go. How hard can it be? You had one job. What could go wrong? Hashtag FATAS from Keats94 says, on the topic of events, there is one in Fort Langley on Saturday. FYI, free admission into the fort. And yeah, we've talked about that one on the
That's
show.
right.
It's the Meet at
Ooh.
the Fort Metrovan Geocachers 2017 kickoff event. That is GC6ZG0Q.
Mm.
There you go. Check that one out. That is this weekend. That is going to be a metric buttload of fun
Of course it's metric.
Because it's in Canada.
Yeah.
because it's in Canada. Yeah.
Wet Coaster asks, are training events allowed? Finding a cache during the event would be a training aid. I would say yes, you could do that if the cache is not listed on geocaching.com. If it's a cache designed only for that event, a temporary cache, that would be great to help people.
Okay, but now we're not talking about
Um,
events that you would plan on a road trip. This
right.
is more like an event you'd plan in your
That's
hometown
true.
to help new cachers learn how to geocache. I'm assuming is what we're talking
Mhm.
about. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's cool.
Brylang says you can totally set cruise control and go into the back in Saskatchewan.
As long as you tie a rope around the steering wheel, yeah.
Wet Coaster says maybe it's an Uber camper.
Yeah.
Nice. Ooh, hey.
GeoNav Pros, he's driving to his next cache in autopilot.
Nice. Still back a bit. Hashtag FATAS. Hashtag Team Squirrel will be there in the Langley event. That's cool. Looking forward to seeing that. Seeing you guys up there. That's awesome. Thank you.
Squirrel.
What else have we got? Working my way down, looking for the hashtag.
No, I wasn't yawning.
Hashtag House on Wheels. Oh, yeah, right.
Yes.
I'm caught up to the hashtag no event for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I might have offended a certain
Reviewer.
reviewer.
That's smart. That's okay.
Isn't it
I don't
smart?
think
Yeah,
anybody
make sure
can
you
ever outdo what I did on the
offend
show.
your
So
viewers, and that way you'll never get an event posted.
yeah, I think I still hold the record for being the most annoying podcaster to a reviewer. I don't
Oh,
know.
let's archive it.
Oh,
Cash.
An archiving party at the end of a podcast. Yeah.
it was a brilliant idea. Nobody's
Seemed
ever
like
done
a
it
good
before.
idea at the time. Hashtag what could go wrong? That would be one of those.
That's why there's no travel bug contests in Canada.
Yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah.
That type of idea.
80% of all emergency room visits are preceded by the words, "Hey, honey, watch this."
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, I know Seattle says,
Okay.
I think this ape cache is going to be unarchived.
Ooh.
Fatas? Giga? Question mark? How do you suppose the WSGA can handle it, and where do we put it in proximity of GC 1179's GZ?
What cache
So-
is that?
That would be the original ape cache. If it turns into a giga event, there's not enough parking up there to handle that.
Yeah, they'd have to look at shuttle busing and yeah.
Now, a few years back, when there was the Geo Woodstock, my words are escaping me tonight. There was a bus or two that took people to the ape cache, and from people who went on that, I remember that the trail, you had to go up the Annette Lake trailhead. I believe I'm saying my words right. Help me out if I'm not. I apologize. And the trail was so packed, people could hold hands and just walk up the trail. So it may be a situation like that. Bryling says there's plenty of parking on the ski hill parking lots. That's true. Gary, I'm glad you're proud to have been part of that night. Oh, the GIF event. Gotcha. How about an event to watch the GIF?
So I want to know.
I caught up with Gary.
Yeah,
I
okay,
understand
I'm
what
caught
you're
up now
saying.
as well. Yeah.
I get you, Gary.
Yeah.
I got your back.
Including Wet Coaster saying hashtag Fatas, hope the snow stays away from the fort because, yeah, we're expecting snow Friday night. But I don't think much. I think we've had our big snowfalls for the year. I think we'll get a dusting at most, and more likely it'll be raining, which is, Northwest end of February. It's pretty normal. What was I was looking at something else that just caught my attention. Shiny things.
Bryling says the trailhead for that trail is the Ashell Curtis trailhead. Not the Annette Lake. I was wrong. So thank you, Bryling.
We were talking about Gajif.
Oh, yes.
Do we know if there's going to be a Gajif in 2017?
No,
We haven't had that confirmed by our good friend Rock Talk yet.
not yet.
All right. We should bug him about it.
Didn't I know last year they said they extended it one more year. So maybe they extend it two more. I mean, it's just a yes or no decision.
Yeah.
I think it's really going well. I would push it.
Yeah. Well, and Brian
Push it
says
real
no
good.
Gajif has been announced, but I don't think they announced it until like late spring last year.
Mm-hmm. I want to say like April, and it was due by August.
Yeah. That sounds right. All right.
So hold your breath.
There you go. And hey,
You can find me floating down the river.
somewhere down that crazy river.
There'll be a Dear Geocache Guy video regardless.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hey, listen to this.
What?
Broncos fans for life. Thank you very much. Already planning for alternative transportation if needed, and it is a net lake. I live by it.
Oh,
Oh.
cool.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Broncos fan for life.
The next thing to date, announced by Geocaching HQ, is the CETO week in late April.
Okay. And we know if there's a lake nearby, Land Monkey will try to drive into it.
Hey.
Hey, it worked well. I'm not criticizing.
You're the only one I know that's driven into a lake and driven back out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true. And driven onto a beach and almost not back off.
I wasn't there for
Well,
that
there's
one, but
that.
I heard about it.
Yeah,
I pushed.
you did.
I pushed it real good.
You
Mm-hmm.
did. And Mrs. Land Monkey was just so happy about the whole thing. I'm really glad you were
Told
there.
Did I keep you alive that day?
Probably.
Did I save a life?
She didn't utter the phrase "I told you
say
so,"
you
did
did.
she?
Sorry, what?
She didn't utter the phrase "I told you so," did she?
No.
Okay.
No, it was I told you not to.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know which is worse.
just for the record, I said
Brightline
no.
drove into the same lake, so now I do know somebody who drove into the lake.
There you go.
There you go.
Last time I drove by that lake, you couldn't drive into it. Well, you could, but you couldn't drive back out. You can always
that
drive
was a
in
fun
the lake.
cache to do.
It's the getting back
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
Everyone can drive into the
Yeah.
lake.
All the cool kids.
Hey, folks, it's 10 o'clock. I am going to say goodnight. I don't know if these guys want to go away or not, but I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. We have had a great chat for, several weeks now, and I really, really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Show much more of a dialogue and not a monologue. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it really does.
And for my other hosts out there, and get caching in the Northwest.
That's right.